Hello, welcome to Soulprint. Thank you very, very much for being here. So, first thing, I released a video on Monday, and it was the sort of latest update with Marcus in Georgia. I had a brain glitch, and I re-uploaded a video that had gone out a couple of months ago. And then the new one, when I realized what had happened, I released the new one. So what you would have gotten on Monday was, I think it said update with Marcus in Georgia or something like that. And then I released one that said newest update with Marcus. And so lots and lots of you have seen the old one, but many, many less of you have seen the newest one. And the newest one had some really interesting and insightful information. So I apologize for any confusion, but I do encourage you to just go into my playlist, click the thing with my little picture, click it. It'll take you to my playlist, right? And look for the video that says newest update from Georgia with Marcus or something like that. So there's that. Thank you everybody for being here. Thank you for the support and the thumbs up and the comments. They're lovely. I read all of them and I truly, truly do appreciate them. So let's get cracking here. What's going on? You have Trump letting people know in hurricane ravaged states that FEMA's not providing anything, or they're only giving them $750, or, the money they give them is just a loan. So all of that's misinformation, right? The $750 is immediate, like here, take this money, go buy diapers, go buy milk, buy whatever you need. And then there continues to be, I guess, a rollout of additional funding as needed. Now, I have been very fortunate in my life that I have never, ever experienced sort of an emergency situation like that. Here in Alberta, it would be, fires or tornadoes maybe, but I've never experienced it. So I really can't speak with any authority on how that money from FEMA rolls out. But I can tell you that Trump et al. Is just spreading horrible, horrible lies that are, really, really, this is what I don't understand. The states that have been impacted, okay, you got Florida, you got Georgia, North and South Carolina. If I've missed one, I'm sorry. Those are typically red states. I mean, those are his voters. But apparently, his obsession is to not take care of them or support them in any way, but simply to make the Biden administration, therefore the Harris administration, look bad. This is the most abhorrent and appalling behavior. I think of everything he's done, this is at the top of the list because he is literally feeding people who are desperate for information misinformation. And that is just, I don't even have a word for what that is and what that behavior is. Apparently, so there was a 60-minute interview. I'm sure some of you may have heard about this. Apparently, every kind of election cycle, or every 4 years, I guess, when the president is being elected, 60 Minutes does this sort of in-depth interview with both of the candidates. And, of course, Kamala did hers. It was, I think, aired on Monday night. Could also have that rock. My brain's been glitching lately, so, it's kind of dicey. Anyways, Trump refused to sit down for that interview. Do you want to know why? Because they were going to fact check him. Wow, doesn't that sound familiar? Like Vance saying, all indignant, like at the debate for vice president, I thought we weren't going to be fact checked. Oh, okay. So that means is that you are intentionally lying, and you know you're lying, and you just don't want anybody to call you on that behavior. He apparently is so out of control that even his aide, the people closest to him, cannot rein him in. He's not listening to them. He doesn't care what they have to say. Unless you are saying exactly what he believes and he wants to hear, apparently it's just noise to him. So he's not taking in any new information. So I want to check that out because this is the thing. I mean, it's what? The 9th, I guess you're going to be seeing this, of October. 20, what? 6 days until the election? How did they think that they're going to turn this around and somehow make it work, make them be able to win an election? I saw a poll this morning when I was going through my feed, and it was big splashy headline was Trump leading, in this swing state by an amazing amount. Except when I looked at who actually conducted the poll, it was very clearly a Republican organization. And sorry, brain glitch, it slipped my mind what it was, but as soon as I saw the name, I was like, of course. So those are the polls that Trump is being fed, right? The ones where he is leading by amazing amounts because that's the only thing he wants to hear. So then, wow, it's not surprised that he's surprised, when he doesn't win. Let's check it out. Let's see what's going on there. I'm interested in how he's doing, but I'm interested more in the campaign and how they're coping with this, what their strategy is, etc. So let's take a peek, shall we? Okay. So, sort of cognitive decline has deteriorated. Truly, his sort of grasp on what's currently going on is tenuous at best. He spends more time in the past than he does in the current, just mentally in his head. Which is why every once in a while he's still screaming that he's, running against Joe Biden, because his brain is not absorbing the present. So that's part of what's going on. The Wall Street Journal did a sort of more of an intensive review of Trump and the campaigns, right? So they looked at his 2016 campaign and his 2024 campaign, and they were comparing them. So he apparently is swearing more, like by 63%. He is swearing. His speeches have doubled in length. He is, rambling. He is incoherent. He is using definitive words like never and always more than he did before. So this is all an indicator, well, two things. One, he's scared. And two, that's just the deterioration you're seeing, right? I mean, let's think about it. If somebody in your life went from swearing once a day. And the next thing you knew, they were swearing 10 times a day or 6 times a day. It would cause you to question what's going on in their mind, because either there's some deterioration or they're incredibly angry and they can't find a way to vent that anger. With Trump, I tend to think it's sort of both. So what I'm seeing is the bubble he lives in is getting thicker. So just so you know, when I say a statement like that, this is the picture that comes to mind. Astronauts, when you see them and they have like all of their sort of gear on and they have those almost like helmet heads, right? And the front of them is clear and the rest of them is like, well, when I talk about Trump and his bubble, that's literally what I see, except that his entire helmet is clear, okay? But it's getting thicker, like thicker and thicker and thicker, so that when I look, he is becoming more distorted because what I'm trying to look through to see him continues to get thicker, and therefore it distorts. So he is now truly only taking in what he wants to hear. And worse, if he is hearing something he doesn't want to hear, his response is like, never mind like annoyance, never mind like, you're irritating me, I don't want to hear you. Never even mind, you're making me mad. He is straight into rage because anything that does not conform and comply with the reality he has spinning inside his little bubble it's just intolerable. Thank you. Intolerable to him, because it's like trying to insert information that is in opposition to his beliefs. And so that's his reaction. He has become far more aggressive about like attacking people. And like, he was always rude, and he was always especially rude to women, never mind black women. But now it's almost like a hair trigger, right? As soon as he hears something that he doesn't want to hear, or he's asked a question that he doesn't like the tone of, he just, he comes at you, because again, he has no control anymore of his almost like emotional responses. So being around him, honestly, must be very difficult and frankly scary, because he will not, it's bad enough he won't listen, but the way he responds, the way he wants to shut you down is so in your face and so aggressive and just like that. So it's hard for his campaign to try to deal with him. It doesn't matter whether they ask him to please stay on message. It doesn't matter when all of these Republicans get on Fox and say, it would be good if he just sort of stayed on message. He's not hearing it. He's not hearing any of it, because what he's doing, where he's going, is really, really extreme right-wing media that just fawn over him and just let him ramble as if he's actually making sense. And even when Fox tries to correct him, I'm thinking of the Hannity interview, right? You wouldn't really be a dictator. Really? Like, you wouldn't do that, would you? No, only on day one. Like, he's not even picking up those kinds of really in your face signals, right? So even, and let's not forget, he refused to do a debate with Harris even at Fox. I guess maybe because he was just he didn't want to get laughed at by her anymore. I don't know. So the people around him, it's an interesting energy because on the one hand, they're scrambling, right? They're like running sort of with chickens with no heads, right? They're just everywhere. They're just trying to get him what he wants, get him what he needs, try to keep him calm, try to, right? But the rest of the energy is really defeated. Like, there ain't no way to pull this out. There's just not. Because with every rally, with every speech, with every interview, he is sinking deeper and deeper, kind of into an abyss. And I have to tell you, there is no bottom that I can see. And I mean, if anybody's questioning whether there's a bottom, it would be what he's doing with the hurricane misinformation, right? I mean, it's a horrible thing. Okay. I just, my mind boggles at the fact that you would have people who, their lives have been destroyed, right? They don't have a home. Whatever was in the home, it's gone. They barely have clothes on their back. And you're lying to them about what kind of support is out there for them. There aren't words. Okay. So even the people closest to him are kind of at a loss, and they really are feeling just like there is no way to salvage this one. But because he is so like spiraling, he's just spiraling faster and faster down and down and down. They need to continue to tell him what he wants to hear that will keep him calm. And so they only tell him about the polls that are done by Republican friendly pollsters. They only tell him about the press clippings or press releases that favor him. They do not basically tell him anything that rocks his boat or upsets him. And my understanding is that there are billboards and like commercials coming out of the Harris campaign that are really, really sort of in your face insulting to him. If I'm not mistaken, they are airing in Florida and around the Bedminster area. So he keeps seeing them, but he doesn't, they just make him angry, right? Like I can literally see him like throwing things at a television, right? Like he's just completely intolerant of hearing anything that doesn't, put him in a flattering light. And so what you have is you're building up a situation where when things don't go the way he has been told to expect them to go, he really is sort of in a state of denial because, as it gets closer and closer, like in those last, week, 10 days, the people around him are going to start to suggest that, maybe it's not going to be as clear cut as he thinks. Maybe it's not going to be a win. Maybe he might not even pull this off. That information, those statements get shoved behind the former statements that said you're doing great, the polls are great, amazing, right? And so what you have is truly somebody who kind of gets shell shocked because that's not what he was told. That's not the information he was given. And that's where you get this incredibly sort of stubborn and erratic behavior from him because he's getting told something that he absolutely was not like prepared for. if you think the Springfield situation, the FEMA situation, if you think that those were the bottom of the barrel, I'm sorry, they are not. As I said, this like abyss does not have a bottom. He will sink to levels not even imagined by the average person, because the fear of going to prison, the fear of the legal cases not going his way is sort of exponentially increasing. And I have to say, the brief that was filed by Jack Smith apparently really threw him into a tailspin. Because, okay, first of all, he didn't read it. All right, he didn't absorb it. So then what he got, information-wise, was sort of the highlights or the worst possible pieces of evidence. And so that just threw him, right? And so the behavior became more and more and more. I mean, think about the timing of that, right? The Jack Smith brief was filed, and then within a few days, Hurricane Helene, landed, and wow, there goes the information, the misinformation cycle, right? So one seems to be really like contingent on the other, right? The more he gets upset about the legal situation, the more erratic he becomes politically and on the campaign trail. Again, I swear I do not know how this man is able to sustain the amount of stress that his body is now under. Now, we've talked before about the fact that he compartmentalizes things, right? So he only deals with this problem. And then when there's another problem, when there's something new over here, he shuts this one down and he opens that one. So like I said before, it's like a filing cabinet and he pulls out files. But when the next file comes to him, he doesn't put it on top of, or he doesn't look at both of them. He closes one and moves on to the next thing. So, I mean, I guess part of how he manages to maintain the levels of stress and anxiety that he must be feeling. I mean, but maybe he's not. But what I'm getting is that the energy around him is so anxiety ridden that it's sort of remarkable that the way he's behaving kind of is the way he's behaving. All right. Okay. The other thing that I want to tell you, that I'm being asked to tell you, is that the closer you get to the election, you're going to start hearing like more and more about the fact that it's such a tight race. And frankly, the pundits are confused, right? They're going, okay, let's see, you have him, right? So he's a felon. There was the whole E. Jean Carroll rape thing. And then you have Kamala Harris, who is smart and savvy and has more experience than any president would ever have, who's previously gone into the White House. And the pundits are like, how can this possibly be a close race? Well, it's because there is not broad scope information that's going into the polls. Let's start there. So they're not reaching the independent, they're not reaching the brand new voters who are coming on stream this year, and they're not even reaching sort of the really angry women. So you're going to hear more and more about how the polls are so tight, or how the race is so tight, Don't absorb that. All right. Don't, because it's just going to lead you to feeling anxious and worried. And what I'm being told is that in actual fact, um, Kamala Harris is significantly farther ahead in most states, in most instances, not all, not every one. But her her base, her enthusiasm continues to expand, and Trump's continues to shrink because I don't care if you have been a Republican your whole dang life. But when a hurricane just blew through and destroyed your life, and the guy that you want to vote for is telling you one thing, but everybody else, including your local governor, your local sheriffs, your local reps, are telling you the exact opposite, at some point, you have to start to wonder where his information is coming from and why he would pass along that kind of faulty information. Now, Hurricane Milton at this point is slamming towards Florida. It looks like it's going to be quite the monster. It is not my area of expertise at all to look at weather trends and weather forecasts. I don't tend to make weather predictions because it's just not in my wheelhouse. So what I will say is everybody who can, please send those people love and light and protection. And for those of you who are in those areas, take cover, stay safe, get the hell out of the way. Whatever it is you're able to do, don't take this lightly. This is going to be, even when it loses power before it hits land, this thing apparently is just so massive that the area that it's going to cover is not insignificant. Okay. So for everybody out there, please, please, please take care. Do not forget to add your questions into the comment section. The amazing Joyce is going to be taking care of those questions this week. So make sure you do that. Once again, thank you very, very much for being here. Until next time, take care and be well. Bye-bye for now.